for a half hour of high adventure.
And welcome back to Real Talk Rewind. I'm your host, Chris, and tonight we're going to crawl through a little bit of history. The stories that shaped us, the culture we forgot. Today we're talking about a movie that failed. A film that nobody saw when it came out, but somehow became one of the most beloved ever. A story about prison, about corruption, and about friendship. I'm talking about the Shawshank Redemption. You've probably seen it, maybe a dozen times. Maybe you quote it without even thinking about it. Get busy living, or get busy dying. But here's what you might not know. The road this film took to get here, it's almost as unlikely as the story itself. So let's rewind. The Shawshank Redemption came out in 1994. Frank Darabont directed it, first time in the director's chair. Tim Robbins played Andy Dufresne, the innocent man. Morgan Freeman played Red, the man who'd lost hope. On paper, this thing should have been massive. But when it hit theaters, it bombed. The budget was $25 million. It made back $16 million. That's a disaster. And 1994 was a brutal year for competition. Forrest Gump dominated everything. Tom Hanks swept the Oscars. Pulp Fiction redefined what movies could be. The Lion King owned the summer. Shawshank got crushed in the noise. Part of the problem was the title. Studio executives absolutely hated it. What the hell is a Shawshank? Some thought it sounded like a dessert. Others thought it sounded vaguely obscene. Test audiences couldn't remember the name. They'd call it that prison movie. Or that Morgan Freeman thing. To this day, people still blame the title. But there's more to the story. The casting almost went completely different. Rob Reiner wanted to direct it himself. He offered Darabont $2.5 million just for the rights of the script. Reiner wanted Tom Cruise to play Andy. Harrison Ford would have been Red. Now think about that for a second. Lieutenant Pete Mitchell and Indiana Jones and Shawshank? Would it have worked? I don't know, maybe. But Darabont said no. He wanted to direct. And thank God he did. Because Robbins and Freeman made it real. They gave it weight. They gave it soul. Here's something wild about Red's casting. In Stephen King's original story, Red is Irish. That's literally why they call him Red. The movie keeps the line as a joke. Maybe it's because I'm Irish. Morgan Freeman delivers it with a smile. It's a wink to the readers who knew. But Freeman made that role so untouchable. His voice became the heartbeat of the film. Steady, wise, worn down by time. You can't imagine anyone else doing it. Now let's talk about the prison itself. They filmed it at the Ohio State Reformatory in Mansfield. This place was the real deal. Built in the 1880s, looked like a Gothic cathedral. Stone walls, tiny cells, decades of darkness. It had been abandoned just years before filming. Parts of it were literally falling apart. The crew had to repair sections of it just to shoot. They reinforced walls. They cleared out debris. It was dangerous and sweltering in the summertime. Morgan Freeman called it one of his toughest shoots. 3 months longer than scheduled. Long days inside that stone fortress. But it created the atmosphere Darabont wanted. The sense of weight, of time, crushing you. Today fans can still tour the prison. It's become a pilgrimage site for movie lovers. Thousands visit every year just to see it. Now let's talk about Andy's escape for a second. The tunnel he dug for 19 years. The crew built different sets for different stages. The final crawl through the sewer pipe, Tim Robbins actually did that himself. They filled the pipe up with chocolate syrup, mixed it with sawdust and water. It was supposed to look like sewage, and apparently it smelled like sewage too. Robbins crawled through 500 yards of it. All for that one iconic moment. Andy emerging in the rain, arms spread wide, finally free. The scene cost them days of filming, but it became one of cinema's greatest images. Here's the kicker about all this work. All this attention to detail and craft, the movie made no money in theaters. Critics liked it, but audiences stayed away. They got 7 Oscar nominations. Best Picture, Best Actor for Freeman. They didn't get a single one. Forrest Gump swept that year. Shawshank seemed destined to be forgotten. But then, something strange happened. Cable TV picked it up. The cable network TNT started playing it on repeat. People stumbled onto it flipping through channels. They'd catch it halfway through and finish it. Then they'd watch it again the next time. Word of mouth started building. VHS rentals went through the roof. Suddenly, everyone was talking about this prison movie, the one they'd never heard of before. Now let's fast forward to today. The Shawshank Redemption is number 1 on IMDb, above The Godfather, above The Dark Knight. The movie that bombed is now the most beloved. That's not just a comeback. That's redemption in its purest form. Now here's where it gets stranger. Shawshank started as a novella. Stephen King wrote it back in 1982. It was called Rita Hayworth and the Shawshank Redemption, published in a collection called Different Seasons. That same book gave us Stand By Me and Apt Pupil, all incredible adaptations. King's known as the horror guy. Haunted hotels, killer clowns, the scary stuff. But Shawshank shows his other side. The side that understands human resilience. The side that believes in hope. Frank Darabont got the rights through King's dollar deal. King would let young filmmakers adapt his stories for literally $1. He wanted to help people get started. Darabont took him up on it. Years later, he asked to expand Shawshank. King said yes, trusted him completely. But here's my favorite part of the story. King never cashed that $1 check. Years after the movie came out, he framed it and mailed it back with a note that said, "Just in case you need bail." That's Stephen King's sense of humor. That's the kind of guy he is. The novella itself is only about 100 pages, but King packed everything into it. The friendship, the injustice, the hope. Darabont stayed incredibly faithful to the source. He expanded scenes and added depth, but the soul of it? Pure King. And King has said multiple times, Shawshank is one of his favorite adaptations. He's proud of what Darabont did with it, proud that it found its audience, even if it took a while. At its core, Shawshank is about hope. Andy Dufresne spends 19 years in prison for murders he didn't commit, his wife and her lover. He's innocent, but nobody believes him. Red tells him hope is dangerous. Hope can drive a man insane inside prison. Better to accept your reality, better to let go and survive. But Andy refuses to let hope die. He builds a library for the inmates. He plays Mozart over the prison speakers. He helps the guards with their taxes. Small acts of defiance against despair. And secretly, he's chipping away at the wall. Night after night, year after year. The rock hammer hidden behind a poster. Hope carved into stone. The film also explores friendship. Andy and Red's bond is everything. Two men who shouldn't have connected, but they become each other's lifeline. Red learns to hope again through Andy. And Andy survives because Red believes in him. It's a friendship that saves them both. Time is another character in the story. The way it crushes you, the way it makes you forget who you were. Brooks got paroled after 50 years. He couldn't handle the outside world. He'd been institutionalized, broken by time. It's one of the saddest moments in the film. But Andy beats time. He refuses to let it erase him. He holds on to who he was. And eventually, time sets him free. So now here's where we get real. Why does this movie still hit so hard? Why do people watch it over and over? Because we all feel like prisoners sometimes. Not behind stone walls or iron bars, but trapped by jobs we hate. Trapped by bills we can't escape. Trapped by routines that numb us. Trapped by systems that don't care. We live in a world that beats you down, that tells you to lower your expectations, that says dreaming big is just for kids. Just keep your head down, don't make waves, don't ask for more. And slowly, year by year, we get institutionalized too. We forget what freedom feels like. We forget who we were before this. And hope starts to feel dangerous. Just like Red said. Because hoping means risking disappointment. Dreaming means risking failure. Wanting more means admitting you're not satisfied. That's scary. That's vulnerable. So we stop hoping. We accept the walls around us. We tell ourselves this is just life. But Shawshank reminds us of something. Hope is what keeps us alive. Hope is what chips away at the walls, one scrape at a time. Think about Andy crawling through that pipe. 500 yards of shit-smelling foulness you couldn't even imagine. He had to go through hell. But he came out clean on the other side. That's not just a prison escape. That's all of us. Crawling through the filth of our circumstances, the weight of our mistakes, the poison of a culture that wants us small. Just trying to find some clear water. Just trying to remember what freedom tastes like. Today we need this message now more than ever. We need to remember hope isn't naive. It's not weakness, and it's not foolish. Hope is survival. Hope is the one thing that gets you through. And like Andy told Red, hope is a good thing, maybe the best of things, and no good thing ever dies. That's it for this episode of Real Talk Rewind. The Shawshank Redemption isn't just a movie, it's a mirror. It asks what prisons we built around ourselves. It asks if we're willing to break free. So here's my question to you. Are you living like Red? Scared of hope? Scared of disappointment? Or are you willing to crawl through the shit to come out clean on the other side? Think about that this week. If you enjoyed this episode, share it. Share it with someone who needs this message, someone who's forgotten how to hope. And if you want to reach out, email me at realtalkrewindshow@gmail.com. Tell me your story. Tell me what walls you're chipping away at. I'd love to hear from you. Until next time, I'm your host, Chris. And get busy living or get busy dying.